my lovely creatives. Today I'm going to talk to you about my journey as a self-taught artist. I never went to art school. In fact, I studied law, which is as far from art as you can possibly imagine. And now I work as an artist and illustrator, and I teach art classes online and in person. I use colored pencils, watercolor and all sorts of mediums to create my art. And everything that I have learned on the road is through self-study. I did take a few sort of shorter courses here and there, and I had some art in high school, but that's a long time ago. And I just want to talk to you about what I have learned through the process and what steps that you can actively take to improve your artwork. You don't need to follow any formal education to become better at art. And yes, there's lots of benefits to formal education. There's lots of things that you can learn from professional artists that you might not be able to learn at home so easily. But with a lot of practice and some of the tips that I will outline in this video, you can definitely come very far and become much better at creating art. In this video I will share some of my high school art pieces, and it makes me really sort of smile when I look back at these drawings, because some of them are absolutely terrible, but I remember how proud I was of them and how much I loved making them, and I think that is the most important thing. So when you see photos pop up of different drawings, these are the drawings that I have made, mostly in high school and a few of them during my university years after that. I have always loved making paintings and drawings, and I used to go to a Steiner school, which is a very creative sort of education when I was in my primary schools and in high school as well, where there was a lot of art involved there. So art was always a logical thing for me to do. It was something that was just part of school and part of my education. But I wished that I had practiced a bit more, that I had kept a sketchbook and just made effort to fill that up and just practice every day, because for a long time I would only practice art in my art classes, and that was maybe once a week, not that regular. And practice really does make perfect. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And there's all sorts of ways to practice different techniques or different skills. You don't have to only practice realistic drawings, but just keeping a sketchbook and really making art a regular habit makes a world of difference. And I guarantee you that if you have a sketchbook and you draw in it every single day for a year, that within that year you will learn so much, and you will really elevate your art, and you will learn how to use the materials. Your creativity will be sparked much easier. You will learn much better how to look at things if you use references or if you draw from life, and it really makes a world of difference. And I wish I had realized this a bit quicker, that you have to practice to become better at something. Who would have known? I now draw and paint every single day, and I keep loads of sketchbooks like you can see in that photo, and each sketchbook I keep for a different purpose. And that brings me to my second tip. When you practice with a purpose, because that way you can learn the quickest. So for example, think I want to practice drawing people's faces. The way you could go about it is borrow some books from the library that are about portraiture. Go to the museum, and it doesn't have to be expensive. There's often free exhibitions in lots of museums where you look at old portrait drawings and get inspiration from there. Look at photographers who draw portraits, and maybe see if there's some classes on portraiture that you can follow if you do want to, or if you can afford to do some classes. But really practice something with a lot of purpose. If you want to learn how to draw realistic, you can really practice that. And if you want to learn how to use a certain art material, dedicate some time to explore that paint or that color pencil, or the medium that you really want to master, and just practice with purpose. Because sometimes when you just practice lots of things at the same time, your development is just much slower. And that doesn't mean that you cannot switch it up a little bit once in a while, but when I make a drawing, I often decide beforehand what it is that I'm going to focus on. And sometimes that is use of color or composition, sometimes that is just creating freely, sometimes that is realism. And I have sketchbook for different purposes as well. So I have a portrait sketchbook, I have a doodle sketchbook, and I have one that I paint in, for example. My third tip is to really mix it up once in a while. So say your favorite medium is color pencils and you always make really detailed, realistic drawings. Maybe go to an art show about Impressionism or Cubism and see what you can learn from that and what inspiration you can get from that. Maybe have a look at architecture or go to a market with lots of like second-hand old paintings and see what inspiration you can get from those. There's so much different art forms and so much amazing fun things to learn from and to look at that once in a while just really shake it up and try something new. Maybe try some lino printing or do some clay modeling or something that is just a little bit out of your comfort zone. Putting yourself out of your comfort zone can really help you find your own sort of creative spark back again. If you're a little bit stuck, if you don't really know what to learn next, or you're a little bit bored with what you're doing, have a look at other disciplines. Go to the theater, go to see some dance, look at the lighting that is being used in those shows and see what you can learn from those and how you can use that into your artwork again. So that's my tip number 3, is to really mix it up and put yourself out of your comfort zone. My 4th tip is to find yourself a creative community where you fit in and you feel comfortable sharing and learning from. People that inspire you, that are positive and that encourage you to learn and to get the best out of yourself. So I'm not talking about going on Instagram and compare yourself to others, because it can be a very dangerous thing to do. But Instagram can be a great way of connecting with other artists and getting to know people. You don't need to use social media. Maybe there is places where you live where you can go, where you can connect to others. And perhaps it is in your direct surroundings, at school or at your university. There might be little clubs or places where you can meet other creative-minded people and to make that creative connection. There's a lot of creative communities online where you can hang out with other people who want to learn art. And I'm running one myself, so I run the Makings and Musings creative community where people become creative members and they can share their art and do art classes and learn together. But there's lots of places like this available online or in person. So I would recommend check them out and see if you can find a place where you really fit in. Here in the UK, a lot of the local councils host art clubs and art communities, so it can be really affordable and it really doesn't have to be expensive to hang out with other creatives and learn from each other. Loads of cities host urban sketch groups. I'm hosting one here locally. It's free to attend and we just come together and we draw our surroundings in the town where I live in. And I know that there's places like that in every big city and in lots of smaller cities as well. So if you want to hang out with other people and draw together and just in a really informal way learn and practice, look for urban sketch communities, because that's a really great place to start. One of the things that I think you would learn when you go to an art school, at least this is my expectation because I've never been to art school, is that you get different assignments and you learn how to work on briefs. So you need to learn how to read the assignment, what the expectation is that is being set, how to talk about these expectations and make it really clear that everyone is on the same page and know what to do. And to learn how to fulfill a brief and how to work, according to certain rules or standards or ideas that someone else imposes on you. And if you want to become a commercial artist, so if you want to sell your art in any way or do commissions for other people, to be able to work along a brief is a really useful skill to have. And there's lots of ways that you can practice this yourself. So you can Google briefs online and see if you can find any creative briefs that you can work on just as a practice. There's lots of art challenges that you can do, that you can join into, and I believe art challenges are such a great way of learning new skills, maybe getting some new ideas of things to add to your artwork, trying some new materials and really let your creativity flow. I made a whole video about why I believe art challenges are so great, and I listed all the art challenges that I am aware of that are happening in October. There's loads and loads of them, so I pick the main ones because there's hundreds. And there's other art challenges carrying on sort of on social media throughout the entire year. And I think there's such a great way of just trying something new and looking at your art from a new perspective, or perhaps create something that is a little bit different from what you would normally create. So to work along a brief and to practice, to practice working for a client is a really great skill. And something that I like to do is make my own briefs. So sometimes I decide that I want to learn a particular skill in a particular industry. So for example, I want to make more art for magazines and editorials. What I do is then I go to a shop, look at magazines that I would like to work for, the sort of art that I see in there. So I do a little bit of research and then I pick an article that I think I could create a great illustration to accompany it for. And this is completely informal. I just make the art for myself and I use this article for inspiration, just to practice how I would work towards this brief if I would get an assignment such as this. And I've done that for loads of different things, for records, labels, for book covers. Sometimes I just give myself a brief and practice it, and you can totally add the art that you've created to your portfolio. So that's a really great way of increasing the range of type of art that you're doing more for practical purposes. Of course, there's lots of online learning environments as well, such as Skillshare, where you can learn, where you can do briefs and where you can really learn about this in more in depth, which I think is really great as well. I have finished a picture of this swan, so I really hope you enjoyed it. I used color pencil and a blending medium to create this picture, and my purpose was to practice with white animals. So I wanted to make a drawing of a white animal in color pencils. Very purposeful, so I picked this subject on purpose. I really hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and I'll see you around soon. Bye bye!